Premium quality football shirts at an extremely affordable price. Sound good? If so, check out the sponsor of today's video, Jerseyfifa.com. You can see that I've sent you some shirts and they really are top quality, so make sure to click the link in the description to go find a shirt for yourself or perhaps as a gift for someone else. And you can now use code Jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. That's code Jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. I really do recommend their product, so go take a look. Now let's get into the analysis. So I've done a few videos recently looking at players that Manchester United have been linked with, before then discussing some of their strengths and what they would potentially bring to the club. And today we're going to be doing the same for Antony of Ajax. So Antony is of course a wide player or a winger, and it's certainly fair to say that this is an area that Manchester United massively struggled with last season, with Ehrling eventually being drafted into the first team to try and help out. One of the reasons for United's struggles in these wide areas was Marcus Rashford. He missed the start of the season because of his surgery, and then when he did eventually come back into the team, his form simply was not good enough. So with that in mind, I can certainly see why Ten Hag might be looking to bring a new winger into the club this summer. And of course, having worked with Antony over the past few seasons, he is a player that Ten Hag knows everything about. So the way I would describe Antony is as a proper winger. He loves to hold the width and take risks on the ball, constantly looking to get at his man as often as possible, before then looking to create or deliver into the box. So as I was saying there, one thing that Antony loves to do is get at his man, and that's why I call him a proper winger, because he is a player that just seems to love dribbling with the ball at his feet, and taking on players as much as possible. In this sense, Antony just seems like one of those players that loves having a football between his feet, and he really is an absolute bag of tricks, throwing in plenty of flicks, tricks and skills at every opportunity to try and beat his man. This obviously is something we've seen in the past, although for some players it hasn't worked because they do skills for the sake of it, but that isn't the case for Antony. He is always looking to be direct and progress the ball forward for his side. Now, regularly looking to take risks and move the ball forward, Antony is a player that loses the ball quite a lot over the course of a 90-minute match, but I think that's to be expected when you ask a player to take risks on the ball. In fact, I think losing the ball is just part of being a dribbling winger. It can't work out every time because you're playing at such speed, but particularly when playing on the transition, these risks seem to pay out more often than not. I think you know that Antony is pretty good on the ball because his teammates really seem to trust him, and in any sort of situation they seem to trust that they can pass the ball to Antony and they just know that he will deliver with the ball at his feet. Because of this trust and his ability on the ball, Antony is a player that loves to get involved in the build-up, and again that's reflected when we see that he gets a lot of touches on the ball and is good at keeping possession for his side. Whilst he does have this ability to keep things safe and retain possession for his side, Antony's first thought is usually to get the ball closer to the opposition's goal, and at times it can lead to him being a bit overly ambitious with his passes. Again, as I was saying earlier, taking risks on the ball does mean that he can lose possession on a reasonably regular basis, and if things go wrong, he could be a player that frustrates the fans slightly if his ideas don't quite come off. However, the flip side of that is there are some absolute moments of magic that Antony is able to pull off, either by producing a sublime piece of skill or by threading a pass through the eye of a needle to find a teammate in the box. Whilst Antony does produce these moments of magic, he does also have his trusty go-to if you like, and this happens when he looks to shift the ball onto his left foot before then swinging an early cross into the box for one of the strikers. Now for me, I think this is one of the reasons that he's had so much success under Ten Hag in the past with Ajax, because we know that Ten Hag is a manager that really puts a focus on his side working the ball out wide before then crossing. Before we continue looking at Antony, I do just want to quickly interrupt because I'm sure you've all seen that the channel has a fresh new look, so I just wanted to quickly shout out the designer, and I highly recommend that you check out his links in the description to go get a new logo for yourself or your company. So going back to Antony, and I was saying how one of his trademarks is to work the ball onto his left foot before swinging crosses in towards the box. And actually another one of his other go-tos involves his left foot again as he looks to cut in and shoot. When cutting in to shoot at goal, Antony typically looks to aim for the far corner with a curling effort from outside the box, and I'm sure there will be loads of compilations on YouTube that you can go and check out to see exactly what I mean. Another thing that Antony likes to do, and I think it goes a little bit unnoticed, is he loves to drift into the box when the play is being built on the other side, and this allows him to really ghost into the penalty area before then finishing past the keeper. Antony's ability in front of goal can be seen when we look at his numbers from last season, as he grabbed 12 goals in 32 games in all competitions, an impressive record, but one that I think he can improve on even further in the future. In that respect, I do think that Antony is a player with the potential to really blow up in the future, because at the moment I do think he's a little bit of a raw talent. He has moments of pure brilliance, but he can also be a little bit frustrating. This is sort of seen in his FB Ref report. We can see that he really is a top player in so many different departments, where he performs excellently. However, at the same time, his pass completion and dribble success rate are low. This is why I think he's a player with a lot of room to grow in the future, and I think if he can refine and just polish a few sides of his game, then he really could become a top attacking player and maybe even move into that world class bracket. I think this is something that Ten Hag sees as well. If not, he wouldn't have worked with him so tirelessly at Ajax, and he wouldn't want to bring him to Manchester United either, so I think it is pretty clear that he likes what he sees in Antony. As I was saying, I think one of the main things that Ten Hag likes about Antony is his ability to hold the width on the right hand side of the pitch, and again, width in possession, really stretching the pitch, is something that Ten Hag demands. One of the reasons that the Dutchman demands this so much is because it creates a much simpler method of ball progression for his side, and we've seen already how this is an area that Antony has really excelled in during the past year or so. This ability to get the ball out wide before then progressing the play is something that will excite Manchester United fans, and he really is one of those players that gets you on the edge of your seat almost every time that he gets the ball out wide. However, one thing that I do want to keep reinforcing to United fans is that Antony does make mistakes, and if he does join the club, then there will be spells where he can be quite frustrating, so that is something that fans are just going to have to get used to. But as I also keep saying, if the fans are patient and if Antony is able to keep working with Ten Hag and the other coaches in training, then Antony is a player that can really develop, and at just 22 years old, he has plenty of time to do that. With that in mind, I do think that there is an element of uncertainty around Antony, because there is no guarantee that he will develop in these areas. However, having watched the development of the creative side of his game, I do certainly think it's possible. The same can be said for his crossing as well. During his early days at Sao Paulo, his end product was lacking slightly, but since making the move to Ajax back in the summer of 2020, his crossing and delivery has really kicked on. I think whilst there are certain question marks over Antony right now, I do think that there is one guarantee, and that is that he would bring goals and creativity to Manchester United if he was to make the big move over to England this summer. The other thing that Antony will almost certainly bring is work rate out of possession, a side of his game that goes under the radar a bit, but he actually contributes pretty well with tackles and interceptions when his side loses the ball. I think this is something that we see quite a lot in young South American players, and it seems to go either way. They can be quite entitled out of possession, but then you get those that have that tenacity, and Antony is certainly the latter. Again, this is kind of proven by the fact that he's been such a big part of Ten Hag's side, and the good thing for Antony, if he was to make the move, is that he already understands what Ten Hag demands from his side and his players out of possession. This is one of the reasons why I think Ten Hag is such an important part of the deal. Under a different manager, I think United may be looking elsewhere, but with Ten Hag new to the job, I think he'll be looking for players that he is familiar with. Overall, it looks like it could be quite a good move. The one major question mark I have is over his ability to adjust to the Premier League, because we have seen it in the past that players come from the Eredivisie and then do struggle a little bit. With that in mind, I do think that this transfer might be a little bit of a gamble, because Antony is yet to prove himself in this sort of environment. To be fair, he did deliver in the Champions League, but again the Premier League places completely different demands. Another reason I think this might be a bit of a gamble is because of the price tag. With Ajax having sold a few players already this summer, they no longer have to sell, so now they can really increase the price tag to get the most money possible. The question now is, will Manchester United take that gamble? And honestly, at this moment in time, I do think that this signing is looking quite likely. And whilst it will be expensive, I do think that Antony would be a good signing to make this summer. Even if he takes a little bit of time to settle in, Antony will bring cut on the edge, he will bring excitement, and he will bring goals and assists to a team, something that this Manchester United team was so desperately lacking last season. So now it's over to you. I've spoken about some of Antony's strengths and why Ten Hag may want him, and I've also discussed some of his weaknesses as well. So now it's time for you to make the final decision. Get into the comments down below and let me know if Manchester United should sign Antony this summer. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.